This is the Conscious Hour. It's January 1st, 2025, and what can we learn from history? Let's take a little gander down here. Let's talk about Jimmy Carter, and let's talk about what Congress knows and what Congress doesn't know, and who's really driving the U.S. warship or the Israeli warship.
The empire will be behind them because they're doing the empire's work. So watch all of this as it unfolds and unfolds around these pipelines pumping, pipelines under construction, and pipelines contemplated.
Jimmy Carter passed away at age of 100, Larry. And here is what he said. He wrote a book in 2007 talking about, the title of the book is Palestine, Peace, Not Apartheid.
Right.
And here is what he said about...
Big brouhaha when that came out.
Here is what he said about his book there.
Clear, it deals with Palestine. You're not inside Israel itself, just the Palestinian occupied territories. And the second word is peace. I describe in this book the efforts for peace so far and my formula, which I think is very reasonable, for bringing peace to Israel and to Israel's neighbors. And I repeat that over and over with a strong condemnation of any kind of terrorism that afflicts innocent people by the actions of either the Palestinians or the Israelis. And the word apartheid is exactly accurate. You know, this is an area that's occupied by two powers. They're now completely separated. The Palestinians can't even ride on the same roads that the Israelis have created or built in Palestinian territory. The Israelis never see a Palestinian except the Israeli soldiers. The Palestinians never see an Israeli except in the distance, except the Israeli soldiers. So within Palestinian territory, they're absolutely and totally separated, much worse than they were in South Africa, by the way. And the other thing is, the other definition of apartheid is one side dominates the other, and the Israelis completely dominate the life of the Palestinian people.
Why don't Americans know what you have seen?
Americans don't want to know, and many Israelis don't want to know what is going on inside Palestine. It's a terrible human rights persecution that far transcends what any outsider would imagine. And there are powerful political forces in America that prevents any objective analysis of the problem in the Holy Land. I think it's accurate to say that not a single member of Congress with whom I'm familiar would possibly speak out and call for Israel to withdraw to their legal boundaries or to publicize the plight of the Palestinians, or even to call publicly and repeatedly for good faith peace talks. There hadn't been a day of peace talks now in more than 7 years. So this is a taboo subject, and I would say that if any member of Congress did speak out, as I've just described, they would probably not be back into Congress the next term.
You're not coming through.
Yeah.
No.
Here is what he said about Israel and the situation with the United States and the policy of the United States in Israel. Do you think that these concerns are going to be considered by the coming administration?
First of all, thanks for playing that. I'd forgotten about it. When I read the book, I, of course, looked for everything that he said on it because it was such a dynamic statement and such against the current views, if you will. And it was very courageous of him, I think. But now I have to look at it, and by the way, that was a really young Amy Goodman, if you noticed. Now I have to look at it as I looked at Jimmy Carter when we went to Lagos, Nigeria in 1999, as I recall, Colin Powell and us, to help supervise the elections there of Olusegun Obasanjo. Naive. I would use that word, and I don't use it derisively because I have a great deal of respect for President Carter, particularly because of the courage he showed with things like that. He doesn't understand. The same thing people don't understand, and I have to admit I didn't understand it for most of my life, if not a majority. 60 years of my life, I didn't understand it. Israel's doing our work. It's not the Jewish lobby. It's not AIPAC. They're subterfuges. They're propagandistic subterfuges. Israel is doing our work. We are very happy with Israel. That's why the NDAA has the $1 billion in it. I would love to have a conversation with President Carter, and a casual one with him during that period, the Lagos period. I would love to have one with him today and explain to him what I've learned and see if he feels like there's any truth to it at all, any validity to it. Of course, I'm convinced of it. We use Israel. Israel doesn't use us. We use them. I don't think they know it. I don't think their leadership is aware of the fact. Although Netanyahu has said it, he said it to the joint session of Congress. He said it multiple times that, in essence, if he wasn't doing the things he's doing, we'd have to be there doing them. And he understands that that is the truth, I think. But I don't think he connects the power equation the way I'm connecting it. I'm not even sure presidents of the United States understand this or are aware of it, because it's the deep state doing this. The deep state defined not as the meritocracy, the civil service, or the oligarchs per se, but the deep state defined as everything from BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Group to the Davos Forum to the central bank in this country, the Fed, and those who actually orchestrate the power behind the curtains that keeps the empire gestating and going and doing its horrible things in the world, particularly the horrible things. My question, coming to your question ultimately about the new administration, is how many of these people that Trump has now, one of them living at Mar-a-Lago with him, apparently, according to the news I read this morning, and of all places, I think I read it in Haaretz, Elon Musk, the person who is doing most of the things that are consequential right now with regard to outer space, the person who is involved in so many things. I suspect I could find his fingerprints or some of the other oligarchs' fingerprints in this AI that has been divulged by Haaretz. I don't think they understand the full extent of what they're divulging, but this AI, which is codenamed Gospel, Apsara in Hebrew, is the AI that is killing people indiscriminately all over Gaza, apparently with Netanyahu's and others' blessings. This is horrible artificial intelligence. Think about your cell phone. Think about anything where you've encountered artificial intelligence. Worsen it by a factor of 10 and throw that into the killing fields in Gaza. This AI kills doctors, nurses, lawyers, candlestick makers, babies, dogs, children. It kills everything that it comes in contact with. And apparently we and the Israelis are all for that because we know what is happening. We really do know what is happening with this AI-generated killing going on in Gaza. This is scary stuff. It's scary stuff. But I would tell President Carter, you not only were naive about the military operation attempting to rescue the hostages in Iran, which failed, Operation Eagle Call, which failed disastrously and ruined his presidency in some respects, along with the hostages themselves, but you're naive about the relationship. You're right. You're describing Israel properly. It's probably the worst apartheid state in the modern age, much worse than South Africa was. And you're right about the consequences of that for the Palestinians. But you're not right about who the ultimate responsible party is. You said, to a certain extent, the U.S. is responsible because of our lack of working for peace. Okay, that's true, but that's the surface. The real reason is we do not want peace, period. We want everything from the Baltic to the Persian Gulf to be in turmoil and chaos. We want it that way by proxy wars and proxy conflicts so that the power shift is arrested, so that we maintain our American empire imperium, and it is not subjugated and taken over by China. That's what it's all about. And I should say China's allies, because China's allies grow apace.
Meanwhile, our oligarchs, we got lots of them, are making massive amounts of money. The big corporations, record profits, and the war machine rages on. Question is, how does it end? Does it end in a thermonuclear war? The resistance comes out and totally starts to wipe out Israel, and then the West uses nuclear weapons. We know Iran doesn't want to use a nuclear weapon. They're too tied to God. The Palestinians, the Lebanese, they don't want this. But this megalomaniac, monopolistic greed machine only wants more profit. More profits. Prophecy said, greed will kill you. Could end the world. This is the Conscious Hour. Wake up time, folks.